All right, let's get right into it. We are going to break down one of the most revealing tech accidents in recent memory. This is the story of a single, tiny mistake that ended up exposing the entire blueprint of a billion-dollar AI product.
In the early hours of March 31st, 2026, this number is what matters. Over 500,000 lines of secret source code from the AI giant Anthropic just appeared on the public internet. We're talking 1,900 files, the whole shebang, just out there for anyone to see.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, this was some sophisticated hack, right? Some big, dramatic security breach. But no, the wild thing is, this was an inside job, but not in the way you're probably picturing. This was basically a case of accidental self-sabotage. So to really get what happened, we've got to start with how the leak was even found in the first place. It was a monumental oops, and it was all centered around their flagship product, Claude Code.
So, what is Claude Code? Well, think of it as a super smart assistant for software developers. It's a tool that people at major companies depend on day in and day out. Its inner workings, its secret sauce, was supposed to be one of the most closely guarded secrets in the entire tech world.
And the timeline here is just mind-blowing. In just a few hours, the secret was completely out, and it was spreading like wildfire. As soon as that code got mirrored onto GitHub, which is a huge public library for developers, it got copied or forked tens of thousands of times. And at that point, game over. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. The code was going to be online forever.
So, the billion-dollar question remains. How did this actually happen? Well, the answer is kind of shocking in how simple it is. It all came down to a single line of code that just wasn't there.
It was like a domino effect of little mistakes. So the system created a debug file. The config file that was supposed to ignore that file was missing just one line. That little debug file then pointed to a zip archive of the entire source code, and to top it all off, that zip file was just sitting in a public cloud bucket that anyone could access. It was a perfect storm of simple, totally avoidable errors.
And this right here is the lesson that I think sent a shiver down the spine of developers everywhere. That little text file, the .npmignore file, which basically just tells your project which files not to share, it's not just for keeping things tidy. It's a critical security control, a lesson that, well, Anthropic learned in the most public and painful way possible. But the story doesn't stop with the mistake. Oh no. Because once the code was out, we all got a peek inside the treasure chest. So what secrets did 500,000 lines of code actually tell us about how a state-of-the-art AI agent really works?
This chart basically reveals the fundamental truth about pretty much every modern AI product. The part of the code that actually calls the AI model, it's just the tiny tip of the iceberg. The real product, the secret sauce, is the massive engineering system built around the AI. And that hidden 98%, it's an absolute beast. We're talking about a complex query engine, a super sophisticated system for letting the AI use tools, a multi-layered memory architecture, not to mention a huge amount of code just for security. See, this isn't just a chatbot. It's a full-blown operating system with an AI at its heart.
And this is where the leak went from just being really embarrassing to strategically damaging. Suddenly, competitors didn't just see how Claude Code works today, they saw where it was headed tomorrow.
Just listen to these code names. Kairos, an agent that works even when you're not there. Ultraplan, for super deep thinking. And Coordinator, an AI that manages a team of other AIs. What this tells you is they're not just building passive assistants anymore. They are all in on a future of fully autonomous AI agents.
But the code wasn't all serious next-gen engineering. It also showed us a surprisingly human and sometimes kind of clumsy side of the developers working at Anthropic.
Yeah, tucked away deep inside the code was a complete virtual pet system with the absolutely adorable codename Buddy.
I mean, just think about this for a second. In the middle of building this multi-billion-dollar AI, someone took the time to create a whole Tamagotchi-style game. You could get a mythic tier shiny Nebulinx, or an electronic salamander that wears the propeller cap. And the punchline? The whole thing was planned to launch on April 1st. Amazing.
And then there's this little gem. So how does a cutting-edge AI company figure out if a user is frustrated? Not with some complex AI sentiment analysis, but with this. A simple, old-school, regular expression. It's wonderfully practical and, honestly, a little bit ironic.
And get this, a single comment, just a note a developer left in the code, revealed something incredible. Because of a bug, they were wasting around 250,000 API calls, basically burning money on requests to an external service every single day.
And the fix for this massive money-wasting bug? Also found in the comments. It's almost comical. Just one line of code, changing one number from something else to 3. That's it. That's all it took. It's a humbling reminder that even at the highest levels, sometimes a solution is painfully simple.
And all of this brings us to the final central question, the one the developer community has been arguing about ever since the leak happened. Was this really just a colossal mistake?
Look, the arguments for it being a simple, embarrassing mistake are really strong. I mean, nobody wants to show their entire hand to their competitors. But the evidence on the other side is just too weird to ignore. The timing, right before April Fool's, the way it generated this massive wave of buzz, it really makes you wonder.
But you know, in the end, whether it was an accident or a brilliant marketing ploy, the result's the same. Anthropic basically gave the world a masterclass in how to build a production-grade AI agent. Now that the blueprint is public, the race is on. Who's going to build on it? Who's going to build it better? The genie is officially out of the bottle.